Okay, so this film's called Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it starts off with this bloke, and I know it don't look like it, but later on we see a scene that shows us that this guy is a fucking teacher or something, and he must be out on one of the most gnarly school trips ever, and this guy don't give a fuck about his students, like at all. Like he don't give a fuck if they die or whatever. I mean, health and safety is right out the window on this one, and he takes his students to this old fucking creepy museum, and while he's there, he just straight up jacks this fancy gold Easter egg, just fucking robs the thing like a cunt. So, obviously, this motherfucker must be British, I'm guessing. Anyway, that triggers the security alarms, and he gets nearly squished to death by this great big giant ball, and then suddenly he gets chased about by the security guards who are all fucking nearly naked. So like, I don't know what they were doing beforehand, but it ain't no wonder the teacher was able to sneak a fucking class past them now, is it? Anyway, he's killed all the kids, so he jumps on a plane and flies the fuck home. Like, thank God for permission slips, right, Indy? And he takes this gold Easter egg back home and sells it to a museum or something. So, like I say, clearly this guy is actually British. I mean, he don't have an English accent or anything, but he's ticking all the right boxes, you know what I mean? I mean, for Christ's sake, all he's got to go and do is invade the Middle East and there ain't no fucking question no more, you know? Anyway, like I say, this guy is a teacher, and we get to see him teaching and clearly being a sex pest to all of the young girls in his classes and stuff. I mean, the looks they're giving him, he's clearly been up to no good, the dirty old dog. Like I say, British, probably works for the BBC. Anyway, these two guys come to see him about something. I don't know what, I wasn't really listening to be honest with you. But Indiana Jones, being a teacher, just can't stop trying to teach people stuff and boring the fuck out of everyone. Banging on about some boring bullshit, trying to give them some history lesson, and these guys are like, oh fuck this prick, and they decide to bounce the fuck out of there. And his mate's like, oh fucking hell Indy, you're a boring bastard, you know that? So, what does Indiana Jones decide to go and do? That's right, he runs away from any criticism and jumps on a plane to a Tibetan mountain retreat. Like I say, British. Anyway, when he's there, he runs into one of his old school students or something, and she's clearly British too, judging by the fact that she's just been in a fucking drinking competition or something, and keeping that in mind, that she has just been through a drinking contest where she nearly passed out and one guy fell flat off his fucking chair, she must be pissed out of her fucking face through this whole scene. Anyway, because she's a woman, and she's gone and got herself pissed up, what does she do next? That's right, she goes and has a fucking breakdown, screaming and shouting and shit, and she's super pissed off at Indy because he clearly banged her back when she was still one of his students in school, and like I say, the evidence he's British just keeps mounting up. So then like, the Nazis turn up, and now I think the case is finally closed. I mean, having the Germans as your enemy, I mean, how much more fucking British can you get than that? Anyway, Indy pales the living shit out of them in a bar fight, in a pub. I mean, you get my meaning here, right? Case fucking closed, he is British. But then again, he does shoot a guy too, so maybe he's Anglo-American or something, I don't know. Or maybe he's just from London, I ain't got a fucking clue. But I'm calling it right here, he's British. And given that he is clearly British, what does he go and do next? That's right, you guessed it. He only goes and invades the fucking Middle East, because of course he fucking does, he's British. We can't get enough of that shit. It's never worked out well once for us in the entirety of history, but we keep on fucking trying for some god knows fucking reason I can't explain. I mean, I'm British, and I just honestly couldn't tell you why I feel such a pressing need to invade the Middle East. But I do, and there ain't no getting away from it. It must be in our genetics or something. Anyway, Indy goes to the Middle East and he just starts fucking everything up, causing all sorts of havoc for no good reason whatsoever, and all the locals are like, oh, the fucking British. But Indy don't give a shit about that, and then ISIS turn up and try to kick him out the country, but he just kills them and goes on the fucking piss in a pub, because that's what all British tourists do when they go and visit other countries. Our package holidays actually include the running total of all the number of people we've killed so far in the country you're visiting. It's called a fucking history book. Anyway, Indy's there in this pub and he runs into a fucking Frenchman. And of course, being British, Indy fucking hates him and flat out goes to murder him. I mean, he'd rather die trying to kill a Frenchman than sit quietly alongside him. I mean, what could be more fucking British than that? Anyway, a bunch of kids turn up, probably from the BBC, you know what I mean? I mean, they got children in need, but I don't know what the BBC think children are in need of, because it sure as shit ain't a length of hot cock. But just saying that will probably get me shadow banned on YouTube, so let's just move on. So this pissed up British school teacher hangs about for a bit, doing nothing, killing monkeys. Then he gets bored and decides to go for a wander in the desert. So hanging out with that Frenchman's clearly been rubbing off on him. And he goes down this hole and looks at a model for a toy train set or something. And then he ropes a bunch of Egyptians into doing all the hard work he should rightfully be doing. Like I say, he's British. And then he gets piss bored of everything and decides he's going to climb down into another hole. But this one is full of fucking snakes and shit. And as soon as he gets down there, he realises he's a fucking moron. And he's like, oh shit, what the fuck am I going to do now? So he leaps about the place like a knobhead. And while this is going on, it turns out that that British chick has shacked up with the Frenchman, which sounds about right. And because she's British, what does she do? That's right, she goes on the fucking piss, gets herself right tanked up, and then, being British, and after having got herself pissed up, what does she do? That's right, she tries to fight the Frenchman. Because of course she fucking does. That's our national motto, for fuck's sake. Get pissed up and fight the French. Steer clear of the Germans because they're a bit fucking tasty, you know? Anyway, what do you know? Then the fucking Germans turn up to spoil the fucking party. I guess because they heard someone was having a go at the French and they wanted to join in. But anyway, because they're Germans, they take things way too fucking far. And they throw the British chick in the hole of snakes with Indy, and they piss off leaving them stuck down there. But Indy and the chick ain't gonna take that kind of bullshit. At all. Getting pushed around by the Germans and French is something that the Belgians do, not the fucking British. So they break out and they go and cause a shitload more havoc and totally fuck up the Germans' little camping trip. Blowing the shit out of everything. Splattering people with planes. I mean, they take this shit way too far. But Indy just can't let it go. He chases motherfuckers down and kicks them out of cars and shit. And after he's killed about 100 Germans as some kind of payback, he drives his car into a fucking shop and all the locals start cheering like they've been keeping score of his body count or something. Anyway, after that, Indy figures, yeah, I might have taken that a little bit too far. So he dips out with the chick on this boat and they're planning to bail from Egypt altogether so they can duck the Germans. But you know what the fucking Germans are like. They ain't gonna let that shit slide at all. So they invade his boat with a fuckload of men and they snatch up the British chick while Indy hides in a fucking tuba or something, and they take her back to their boat. But Indy sees this and is like, nah mate, letting her go with a Frenchman is one thing, but the Germans are dirty fucking bastards, and there ain't no telling what they'll do to her. So Indy gets on their boat and he follows them when they go for this weird fucking hiking trip in the desert like they're trying to be fucking French or something. And they find this weird gold box or whatever and they open it up and it melts all their faces off and that's the end of the fucking movie. I mean, I got no idea why they called it Raiders of the Lost Ark. I saw a boat, but I didn't see any animals go anywhere 2x2. The only animal I saw was a monkey and that fucking died. Anyway, right at the end of the movie, instead of fucking off after some cheap new dirty slag, Indy only goes and settles down with that chick. So, I guess, he wasn't British after all. He must have been American or something. I don't know. All I know is it's a stupid fucking movie.